Hi there, Marion Mulligan here, Crazy Old People. Today we're going to meet up with Lucas Steeves. He's a word artist. Let's go see what he's all about.
Hi, my name is Lucas Steeves and I'm a spoken word artist here in Bowness. I'm not really a spoken word artist, I'm actually a public speaker, professional speaker, and comedian. And it's such an interesting field of art because a lot of people don't think of it as art. You know, a lot of people think of speaking as somebody standing on a stage giving a lecture or something like that. But really, when you think about it, it's actually one of the oldest forms of art on the planet. You know, long before painting or writing or even really carving, things like that, people used to sit around fires telling stories. You know, that was the primary form of entertainment for, as far as anthropologists can figure, about 2 million years. And I just started doing it a couple of years ago. And it's been so fascinating to me because we live in this world now where people are more, well, 80% of people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. It's this weird thing. Most people would rather be in the coffin at a funeral than have to give the eulogy. It's insane, and yet we're all natural born speakers. You know, every infant on the planet has no problem expressing themselves. If they didn't, they would not get fed. They would not get their diapers changed. They would not get the attention they needed. But at some point it gets trained out of people that speaking is this difficult thing and it should be scary and it should be intimidating and you should be nervous about it all the time, but really you shouldn't. It's one of the most amazing arts on the planet, you know, the art of conversation, the art of sharing an idea with somebody. It's really, really fascinating how speaking brings the world together. And I also like it as an art because once it's done, it's done. You know, with a painting, you make a painting and that painting lives forever. And the artist looks at that painting, and when they made a mistake or something like that, they see it for the rest of the existence of that painting. But with a speech or a comedy set, I mean, it's a little bit different now with videos, but generally speaking, once it's done, it's done. And it's an art for the art of doing it rather than for the final product, which really makes it fascinating. And it's this intangible thing that everybody enjoys and nobody can really pinpoint exactly why. And it's fleeting, you know, it happens and then it's done and that's just it. And it's a really fascinating art form, and it's fun because you get to make people laugh and you get to make people think and you get to make people feel and you get to do all the things that really great art is supposed to do in this way that doesn't require any supplies. It doesn't require even very much time. You know, once you've practiced for a while, you can give a speech, you can give a talk, you can tell a joke, it doesn't matter. And you can do it anytime, anywhere, no matter what supplies you have with you. You don't need your sketchbook, you don't need your paints, you don't need your writing pad, you don't need any of that. It's such a fascinating art form.
So how did you get started with this comedy and speaking?
Well, I started in speaking most the same way most people do. You know, I was crying and screaming and kicking my feet a lot until people figured out what it was I wanted. And then as I grew past infancy, I started to listen to the people around me and hear how the sounds fit together, and then eventually I could form words, and then words turned into sentences, and then I could express full thoughts, and I was just a natural born speaker, just like everybody is at that age. I'm partially kidding, of course, but everybody really is a natural born speaker. So it's hard to say how I got started. But in comedy, it was a little different. I gave a talk at this public speaking workshop I went to. And at the end of the talk, a bunch of people came up to me and said, "Wow, that was really funny. You should get into comedy." Now, I hadn't considered the talk I gave to be very funny at all. In fact, I thought it was very deep and heartfelt and had an important, impactful lesson to it. But then apparently I was pretty funny. So I decided to lean into it a little bit and start telling jokes and start to spice up my speaking. And then I discovered that using comedy in public speaking was a really powerful tool because I often talk about some pretty heavy subjects that shut a lot of people down. But using jokes and humor really lightens it up, and it helps difficult subjects become digestible for people.
So what do you see for the future here?
Well, it's hard to say the future right now. You know, with the events industry essentially shut down, public speaking is kind of in limbo at the moment, but I'm working on a couple cool projects that I've got going. One is called Virtually Amusing. It's this online comedy club story slam that a friend of mine and I started, where once a month we get together storytellers and comedians to just come and tell amusing stories on a Zoom call, which is a whole lot of fun. I've been doing some of that, but then the other thing that's got me really excited is this fascinating idea I had the other day. I saw this street preacher. He was hanging out on the corner talking, and I thought, hey, what's stopping me from doing that? You know, what's stopping me from just getting a megaphone and going to the park while there's a bunch of people hanging around and just telling jokes for an hour, or until the police show up, one or the other. So that's kind of the near future, and in the far future, who knows? You know, when live events come back, I really hope to see open mic events and things like that make a strong comeback where people can come and use the art of their voice and their words to spread their message and make people smile and just make the world a better place.
So how can you see this for Bowness, and specifically for Bowness?
The art of public speaking in the community of Bowness is an interesting one, because we have so many interesting characters around this neighborhood with so many fascinating stories to tell. We'd set up like a speaker's corner sort of thing at the community hall where people could just get in there and stand in front of a camera and tell their stories and be published in the community website, things like that. Story slams in the park would be a great option as well. You know, we have this amazing facility here, Bowness Park, and again, so many amazing colorful characters, and there's nothing to stop us from setting up a little stage somewhere and getting speakers out to just tell stories and tell jokes and have fun. You know, we could also be doing community workshops and teaching those 80% of people that are more afraid of speaking than of dying that speaking's not scary, and that they should be doing more of it, because it's really liberating to be able to communicate powerfully and not be scared to get up and give a presentation at work or something like that. So there's all kinds of things that the community of Bowness could be doing to really showcase speaking and comedy as an art form.
That's a great idea, Lucas. I love it. You know, you've given me some food for thought, Lucas. How do we get in touch with you? Where do we find you?
There's a number of different ways to reach me. The easiest is, of course, www.lucassteeves.com. From there, you can find links to all my social media. You can find some of my videos, and a little bit more description of some of the projects I'm working on lately. You can also find me on YouTube by searching Lucas Steeves. I think there's one other Lucas Steeves, but the one that you're looking for looks like this. You can find me on Instagram at Lucas Steeves. You can find me on Facebook at Lucas Steeves Speaks. And hopefully very soon you'll be able to catch me on random street corners around Bowness yelling through a megaphone, making everybody happy.
Well, there you go. I know I've got some ideas. So that was my interview with Lucas Steeves, word artist, speaker, and comedian. Thanks a lot for talking to crazy old people, Lucas. Hope to see you again.
I was crying and screaming and kicking my feet a lot until people figured out what it was I wanted.